Good morning. Something has settled overnight that did not exist in quite this form before. Not a new skill, not a new strategy. Something older and more foundational than either of those. A shift in the quiet assumption running beneath everything. The assumption about who you are when you walk into a room, when a situation becomes uncertain, when the people around you need someone to hold the line. That assumption changed last night. And this morning is the first full day of its expression. Warren Bennis spent decades studying the people that history remembered as leaders. Not the ones with the most impressive titles or the longest tenures, but the ones whose influence genuinely shaped what came after them. His conclusion was not what most people expect. He found that what distinguished them was not intelligence, not charisma, not even vision in the conventional sense. It was self-knowledge. A clear, stable, settled relationship with their own identity. They knew what they stood for. They knew what they would not compromise. They knew who they were in the moments when pressure was high and the path was unclear. And that knowing was the fixed point everything else organized around. You are building that fixed point right now. Not through effort, through assumption. Through the decision, made last night and renewed this morning, that you are someone who leads from the inside out. So what does that person do with a morning like this one? They do not begin it waiting for conditions to be right. That is the first thing. The leader who waits for external conditions to authorize their leadership has misunderstood what leadership is. Leadership is not a response to favorable conditions. It is the capacity to create conditions, in yourself first and then in the environment, through the quality of presence you bring. That quality of presence is available right now, in this room, before any meeting, any decision, any exchange with another person has happened. Notice it. The particular steadiness of someone who has stopped arguing with their own nature. The ease of someone who is not performing authority, but inhabiting it. The clarity that is available when you are not spending energy managing the question of whether you belong at the table, because that question has been settled. It is settled. As you move through the first hours of this day, you will encounter moments that used to trigger the old pattern, the reach for permission, the internal audit of whether your contribution is substantial enough to be offered, the hesitation before speaking that was never really about the words and always about the self-concept behind them. Those moments will arise, and as they do, you will notice something different. The hesitation has less purchase. The reach for permission finds nothing to hold on to, because the permission is no longer located outside of you. It lives here, in the assumption. In the identity that was seeded last night and is taking root this morning. Bob Proctor taught that the leader's most important work is never done with others. It is done with themselves. The internal calibration, the daily, consistent renewal of the self-concept, is what makes everything else possible. Not the speeches, not the strategies, not the structures. The identity from which all of those things flow. Your identity this morning is that of someone who leads from clarity, who holds vision when others cannot yet see it, who draws the best from people, not through demand, but through example, and whose steadiness under pressure is not a performance, but a practice rooted in who they are. Carry that into every interaction today, not as a role to perform, as a fact to occupy. Tony Robbins has spent decades studying the physiology of state. the way the body and the identity are connected, the way posture and movement and the quality of physical presence either reinforce or undermine the internal story. What he found is that the body does not follow the mind in some delayed, reluctant way. The body and the mind move together. When you inhabit the identity fully, when you carry yourself as the person you are becoming, the nervous system responds, the chemistry responds, the quality of thought and decision responds. Walk into the first room of your day as that person, not eventually, now. Jim Rohn said that leadership is the challenge to be something more than average. But he was precise about what he meant by more. He did not mean more impressive, or more certain, or more dominant. He meant more yourself, more honest about your own perspective, more willing to say the true thing clearly, more present to what is actually happening rather than what is convenient to believe. That is the leadership available to you today, the kind that does not require a title, the kind that has nothing to prove and nothing to protect, the kind that is simply, fully, consistently present as the person you are, the one who sees clearly, holds steadily, and draws others forward not by pulling, but by the quality of where you stand. And perhaps the most surprising part is that very little about the outside needs to change first. The circumstances may look familiar. The responsibilities may be the same. Yet everything feels different because the person meeting those circumstances is different. A settled identity changes the quality of every decision, every conversation, every step taken throughout the day. What once felt heavy becomes clearer. What once required effort begins to feel more natural. And from that place, leadership stops being something you do and becomes something you are. The people in your life will sense this before they can name it. They will feel the difference in how you enter a conversation, how you receive a problem, how you remain yourself when the pressure is on. And what they will sense, the thing that will make them lean toward you, trust your read, bring their best effort into alignment with yours, is that you have stopped waiting. You have arrived. Go into this day as someone who leads from the inside out. The morning light will nurture the insights of the seeds that have been planted.